This is DevOps in Agile Way podcast.
Hello everyone, this episode will be definitely shorter because I just came back from KubeCon North America and just a couple of days ago, but still I'm experiencing jet lag and I didn't have really time to think about something special, but I really wanted to say a couple of words about this conference. KubeCon is really a big conference. It doesn't matter if this is in North America or Europe. It is one of two most important conferences in Kubernetes world. Also very important is that this conference is under CNCF umbrella, like Kubernetes is. So the conference is about open source, about the tools around the Kubernetes. It's about the tools around the cloud native landscape and the tools which can be fit in this cloud native landscape. It is a really big conference. Maybe not the biggest in the world in IT, but still one of the biggest, I believe. I don't know the numbers, how many attendees were there, but I'm sure there was a lot of talks, a lot of tracks. I didn't have, unfortunately, the chance to join any talk and hear what people say. Still, I can watch the recordings, what I will do. I was mainly focused on the company's booth, Spacelift booth. I had the time, of course, to walk around and talk with other people on other booths. And from the perspective of partners, how many partners and what kind of partners were there, and I was really surprised how many is there. So I knew it is already a lot because I joined KubeCon NA a couple of times online. And when you go to the webpage, you will see how many partners and sponsors are there, starting from Diamond 1 through the Platinum, then Gold, of course, Silver, and the number of partners in every category is growing, of course. Then we have startups and a couple more. All of them were there. I had a lot of interesting discussions with people on that booths, especially a couple of them were really, really interesting from the perspective of, let's say, not the tool itself, but how the tool or the group of tools can fit specific DevOps processes and DevOps problems to solve. From the infrastructure as code perspective, I was also interested in this because I was in Spacelift booth, and Spacelift is doing orchestration platform for infrastructure as code. It was very interesting to see others who are doing similar things like we, talk with them, learn a little bit about their approach and what they do. What was also very interesting, the talks we had in our booth. So I was really, I shouldn't say surprised, but a little yes. What kind of discussions I had. I mean by that we very often we had very deep discussions about very specific issues, about very specific solutions, about very specific approach to the problems and to processes. Very often what I saw, and this is also very promising for the industry and specifically for this niche, is that even if people just start with infrastructure as code, there is a lot of people who are just starting with infrastructure as code and they don't know anything about specific toolset around this. They already started to see some potential and not only potential problems and potential and not only potential issues, what can lead to some, let's say, downsides of their approach and downsides of using like a clean infrastructure as code thingy. What I mean by that, for example, just simple Terraform, just simple CloudFormation, simple Pulumi, simple OpenTofu, whatever. And they started to be more and more interested in the tools. How I see it right now is that finally, and I mean it, finally, we have the moment where we close the gap or we are moving closer 3 elements, the infrastructure as code itself, as a, let's call it language and approach, the process of working with infrastructure, and also the tools which can help you with CI/CD, with orchestration of this infrastructure. So these 3 elements, especially 2 of them, were a little bit far away from each other, I mean processes and infrastructure as code itself, we started to manage or try to manage this infrastructure as tool. So we started to prepare the processes, prepare the proper approaches, because we realized that infrastructure as code and infrastructure is a little bit different than application code and application. And missing point here was the tooling for taking care about this orchestration of infrastructure, taking care about the pipelines, delivery pipelines for infrastructure, because this is what I always said to everyone in the conference, but not only. When we talk about infrastructure, the CI/CD tools, the generic CI/CD tools, are not designed to deliver infrastructure as code. They are designed to deliver application code. It doesn't mean that those tools will not work with infrastructure as code, but it means that infrastructure as code needs to be treated a little bit differently, because there are different aspects to this. And this episode is not about that, it's about the KubeCon. So let's go back to KubeCon. So from my perspective, especially from the, collectibles, let's call it collectibles, I am really satisfied because I bring back, I think hundreds of stickers, and I am addicted to stickers. If you don't know, and probably you don't, on my laptop I have already 4 layers of stickers, so it works like a shock absorber almost. And I have the full box, not that small kind of box, full of stickers. And I start to think about having like a web page with the stickers I collected. One of the most useless thing in the internet probably it will be if I create it. But anyway, why not? For fun. Of course, there was a lot of other swags like t-shirts, like socks, like hats, etc., etc., and a lot of books to collect. So, for example, I have signed by the author, Daniel Walsh, book called Podman in Action. Very interesting. Not necessarily Podman itself is that interesting, but it's good to know the competition, in quotes, for Docker, right? Another one is Identity Native Infrastructure Access Management. This is the book about, access management. Quite short, I see. Good to read in the plane or whatever. Another one, Kubernetes Secret Management. So this book is also the one which I collected in this conference. Also very interesting. And Podman in Action and Kubernetes Secret Management is published by Manning. O'Reilly published this book about access management. Another book from O'Reilly is Observability Engineering. And I'm really, let's say sad. I try to be polite for myself, because the day before, one of the authors signed this book, and I had no chance to. I just didn't know about this, so my fault. And the final book from Kubernetes I've collected is Kubernetes Best Practices, also signed by the author, I think, or maybe not. Let me check. No, not this one. So probably some other one was signed by the author. Doesn't matter. So I have 2 books signed by the authors. And the final book, I don't know if I can call it book because this is like 30 something pages, is The Path to GitOps. And this will be interesting read because I want to see if this book says things about GitOps which I agree or not. And when I was in the Red Hat booth, because this is the book from Red Hat, I already first thing what I said was that I wonder if I will be if I agree with this book or not. So we will see. What also is very cool about Kubernetes, not only KubeCon, but this was something what I experienced for the first time during this conference, is a lot of events organized by partners around the conference. So I had the chance and huge pleasure to join breakfast on the first day. Breakfast organized by Dell and TechStrong Group. So TechStrong Group is what is behind, for example, DevOps.com. So now you should know. And it was really, really nice place to be, to talk with people, There was a lot of interesting people to just know, right? And I like the idea of breakfast here, because when you have event like that after the conference day, everyone is already tired. It is the evening, so in the evening you want to have more fun, right? So there is some music, there are drinks, and it is, I would say, less comfortable atmosphere to have like significant discussions. So that's why breakfast looks, in my eyes, better. I'm really happy to be part of it. So there was a couple of more. I joined one or two more. So a lot of things is going on around the conference itself. So to summarize this episode, I promise it will be very short, but right now I see that I have almost 14 minutes of recording, so probably I will cut some of this. But still, if you have the chance to be on that kind of conference, go, talk with people. It's also the possibility to exchange the experience, exchange the knowledge, share the problems, seek for solutions. This is really possible. What I missed during the conference, somehow I am really big fan of open space approach, open space model. KubeCon had this, but I didn't saw that many people was there. So I saw tables prepared for open spaces, but somehow it didn't run well, I believe. And this is not something, let's say, unexpected for me. Maybe the scale was unexpected. But as co-organizer of DevOps Days in Poland and attendee in this event a couple of times already, I saw and I understood how tough is to convince people to this model, to this way of exchanging information, knowledge, to learn, to teach. But believe me, this is one of the best thing you can attend during the conference. Believe me. And if I am in the conference and there is interesting talk or interesting topic in open space, in 100% I will go to open space to talk about this, because this is the place where, well, as a conference speaker, I shouldn't say that, but let me say this. This is the place where you can really solve your real problem, okay? Because there you can talk about your problem, not hear about the solution to the problem someone else had. It is more personal. Again, if you have a chance to be on the conference, go. If you have a chance to be part of open spaces, go there. If you have a chance to talk with people, do this, because the conference is not only about talks done on the stages, but also discussions between all people who are participants. This is the biggest power of each conference, really. So, thank you very much. I don't know yet what will be next week. Let me keep this as a secret, even for myself. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of DevOps in Agile Way podcast with your host, Pavel Pivosh. Subscribe, comment, and do not forget to check our next episodes. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Stay curious.